This is Max Verstappen winning his 10th Grand Prix of the 2023 season, but this is the team that makes this happen almost every race weekend. In particular, this man here, Gianpiero Lambiase, has the privilege and curse of being Max Verstappen's race engineer, the first person to bear the brunt of his, let's say, blunt radio messages. Their relationship is certainly love-hate at the best of times, but last weekend it seemed exceptionally fiery. So what's going on? What actually happened? Is this relationship sustainable? And should Red Bull be concerned for their future after Max Verstappen said he would retire if Lambiase ever left? Now, I'm sure you heard the radio messages that I'm talking about. On Friday, even though Max Verstappen made it through to Q3, it was a little closer than usual. He lashed out at his race engineer, leading to GP saying, okay, well, if you want to decide the tyre offset, the run plan, the traffic gaps, we can do that for Q3. And you probably heard Gianpiero Lambiase again frustrated with Max Verstappen for using his new tyres too hard during the race. Used a lot of tyres on the outlap, Max. Not sure that was sensible. Max didn't actually reply, but GP really hammered the nail home, saying, there was reasonable tyre deg in that last stint. I'd advise you use your head a bit more. Now, we have to remember that these two know each other exceptionally well. Lambiase was actually recruited from Force India to Red Bull back in 2014, actually to replace the previous Red Bull world champion Sebastian Vettel's race engineer. And then when Max made his step up into the main Red Bull team for the Spanish Grand Prix in 2016, GP was given Max to look after. Of course, the rest from there is now history. Max goes on to win his first race with Gianpiero guiding him through it. The two celebrate emphatically and have been side by side on race weekends ever since. Lambiase has been there through every step of the way through Max Verstappen's evolution at Red Bull, helping to mould the champion that we see now. However, as Max has developed, his relationship with his race engineer seems almost unchanged. Max, even after 9 seasons in Formula 1, still comes across as the hot-headed kid that has to win at all costs sometimes, despite the fact that he's winning so much at the moment, where GP still plays the level head who talks Max around and doesn't want him to risk the victory that he wants so much. The dynamic for the most part works perfectly. I mean, Max Verstappen is now a double world champion and has 10 Grand Prix victories this year, so we'll likely be adding a third championship to that list very soon, but the relationship between them can very quickly switch from the two joking and laughing around with one another to an all-out screaming match over the radio. Like the ones that come to mind for me are Spain last year, where Max had no DRS and complained relentlessly to GP, and also Austria this year, where Max was asked very kindly by GP not to pit for fastest lap, so he completely ignored that and pitted for fastest lap, which he did get, but still, he went against GP's orders. Back to this weekend, where the bickering between the two of them was most frequent. During the race, several times GP told Max to use your head please, as Lambiase begged the driver to follow his instructions, but Max said that he wanted to know both sides, referring to wanting to know what Perez was being told, as the Mexican was leading the Grand Prix early on, remember, but Max was told once again to follow instructions. There was a definite edge to their conversation, but I think we need to remember that this happens more often than not. Then the two had a little discussion once again when Max was actually leading the Grand Prix. Instead of cruising to victory, Max said, shall I push on and do another stop? Some pit stop training. And although Max got away with this in Austria 3 races ago, GP decided against the practice, saying, no, not this time. I saw a few people again calling out Max for this kind of behaviour and the fact that he isn't much of a team player and doesn't really do what the team would like him to do, but Max did say after the race, I know that the team doesn't like to do another stop, but I like to mention it so they might get a bit nervous. It's fine, we know each other very well, and we have a very good relationship. Even Christian Horner discussed the heated radio messages over the weekend, saying, with Max, it's pretty much forgotten straight away, whereas with GP, he remembers a little longer. And that's probably why Christian was so full of praise for GP after this weekend in Belgium, saying, I think to race engineer Max Verstappen, you've got to have a strength of character, because he is one tough customer. Many race engineers would crumble under the pressure, and GP has got the strength of character to deal with that. So as much as I've seen a few articles and videos calling out Max Verstappen for his behaviour, both he and GP are a great pair together and both understand their roles in this relationship. Max Verstappen even once said he would quit Formula 1 if his race engineer decided to leave. This was back in 2021 after winning his first championship. That's right, after that incredible win in Abu Dhabi, Max Verstappen said, I've said to him, I only work with him. As soon as he stops, I stop too. Of course, we can be pretty strict with each other sometimes, but I want that too. He has to tell me when I'm being a jerk and I have to tell him. We have our disagreements or whatever. We very easily get over it again because at the end of the day, we have the same goal. So for me, I don't think there's anything to worry about right now. Max is absolutely flying at the moment, and therefore he sets his standards exceptionally high. If even the smallest thing goes wrong, even though he'll win anyway, he wants to win in a certain way. Winning almost isn't enough anymore. It's winning with dominance that Max Verstappen is after, and that's an incredibly difficult thing to keep up, and maybe after 12 races this season, he's stretched the patience of GP a little bit, who has definitely earned his summer break. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, and I've also put together this one here that I think you'll absolutely love too. So click that link and I'll see you over there.